And we are going to start in butterfly pose. So bring the bottoms of your feet together. You can take a moment and actually like rub the arches of your feet, squeeze your legs a little bit, maybe massage your knees. And then grab onto your shins, lift up your chest, take a full inflating inhale. And then with your exhale, roll down, letting your chin come to your chest, letting your head drop towards your feet. And most likely, if you've been doing things like lying still and sleeping in the morning, you tend to be a little tight, a little less flexible, more strong in the end of the day. Just take a full inhale, and with your exhale, sigh it out. Help soften you into this pose. I think this conversation about feminine, masculine is so super interesting. So here we are doing some yin yoga, which is the feminine side of yoga compared to the primarily yang yogas that we're more familiar with. So allow this posture to be soft, unforced. Notice how your breath naturally comes in to your body with a normal pause and softly comes out of your body with a normal pause. And then we stay in the pose. So especially, and we even keep our eyes closed often in a yin, not all the time, but in a yin pose. So all of these elements, the darkness when your eyes are closed, the softness, and the staying and slowness are pictures or elements of yin compared to yang, the more fiery, dynamic male energy. And this theme of gender has, one could say, exploded in the last, well, if you're really paying attention, 40 years. But always has been an issue. But in the last 5 years even, there's been dramatic political shifts around this. And politics are often like institutions where they move much slower than the culture actually does. With your inhale, roll up, and you're going to keep your feet as they are, and you're going to come back into this yin fish or a reclining butterfly. You can either keep your chin towards your chest if your neck is sensitive, or let your head softly relax back, allowing the weight of your skull to cradle in your shoulder, kind of massaging your trapezius muscles. And while a good friend of mine pointed out, of course, this step for embracing, especially the transgender movement, is a little bit tied to the facts that people take a lot of drugs and hormones that big companies like to sell to make the physical change in the physical body. And what I find so fascinating is when we start to actually have a bigger perspective and this occultist view of the human body. We have a sexed biological body. And while a few babies are born with more hermaphrodite kind of features, it's very, very, very few. We all kind of come out one way or the other. But what's fascinating for me is then Rudolf Steiner, a man who had a gift of clairvoyance. He explained how while we have a sexed physical body, we will have the opposite sexed etheric body. And this is your body of light, warmth, and movement, you can nearly say. So it's in the Vedic terms, it's the pranamaya kosha. You can also describe your etheric body as your life body. And then the next layer of our subtle body is our astral body. So while our etheric body is the body that we share with plants, so light affects plants, music can affect plants, temperature, wind, those kind of things. The next body we have is the astral body. And this is our body of thoughts and desires. This is the body that we're most familiar with in our inner life. And this is the body that is sexless, one could say. You can start to let your elbows slide out to the side. I think Para was trying to tell me to go there. And bring your hands up over your head and bring your thumbs and your index fingers together. Spread your other 3 fingers wide and slide your thumbs just to the point where your head and the ground meet. You don't have to lift up your head or anything. So what I'm finding fascinating is that we're in a time where it's easy to see all these separations that are happening in humanity. But we want to also remember what are kind of elements in humanity that are bringing people together again. And one of them actually is a new experience, or being able to experience the etheric body in a way that maybe wasn't quite as strong before. Or, if you look at esoteric Christianity, the second coming of Christ is experienced more in the etheric realm than in the physical realm. It's a transformative experience. But this experience of our etheric body is so missing in the language of our modern natural science-based materialistic discussion. So people are identifying more with this part of themselves. Now, just to give you a picture of how you can a little bit recognize these parts, we can look at the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. And in these archetypal divisions, we already know that we identify a lot with both sides of things. And we have to. I mean, we are complex human beings. Even in Taoism, they would never pretend that one human being could be all yang or all yin. So the picture of the human being kind of being whole and complete and undividable self has to include both sexes, both energetics of both genders or archetypes. With your next inhale, bring your hands to your heart center Let your hands sprout straight up to the ceiling like you're very dramatically praying. Lift up your feet, catch sight of that magical little tunnel in between your soles, and dive through your tunnel to sit up. And then maybe you have enough energy to either gracefully jump back into plank to Sphinx, or you just do whatever to get there. Nice one, Sita. Placing your elbows shoulder distance apart, slightly in front of your shoulders. Let your hands relax. You can let your shoulders slide down your spine. So one of the pictures that I have in what's going on in our culture, in this kind of feeling of like the explosion of transgender and all of these things, is that actually part of the story is that people are getting more in touch with this energetic part of themselves. And because we're so fixated on material science, we have no other language to explore it than saying like, oh, there's something wrong with my physical body. But it's just an experience of the energetic body as well. So I was going to give you an example. Very classically, the yang or the masculine or kind of the sun forces, the Apollyon forces, like Apollo forces, they're one of illumination and protection. So in the classic kind of gendered story that we've grown up with, that we know is somewhat archaic, there is this idea that the man is the protector and provider of the family, that he goes out and he champions and he fights and he gets what he needs and he, hopefully doesn't cut off too many heads and brings the bacon home. Very archaic. I meant it to sound so. But this idea of the protector and provider is very, it's very much connected to this uprightness of the male energy. Now, if we look at the feminine energy, there's classically, the feminine energy is the receptive energy, the following energy, the kind of the dark and the mysterious, but the part that actually builds containers for something to happen. Oversimplified, I understand, but just to make a point. Now, on an occult level, one of the things that has been observed by clairvoyance is that when a man and a woman are sleeping next to each other, after they've fallen asleep, their astral bodies and the eye, goes into the spiritual world and to the dream world and to the great beyond. But the etheric body and the physical body stays on earth, so to say. But what's been observed is that the etheric body of the woman actually reaches over the body of the man to help, bring these life forces and regenerative forces that sleep provides to be amplified in the man. And this is true even in waking, that as young children develop and before they've developed their own etheric body, which happens roughly around 7-ish, the mother actually is providing the etheric forces for them. So part of how exhausted women get from having children, not only is it all the crazy amount of physical work that they're doing and breastfeeding milk, like providing the food, but they're also providing this energetic body for the child. So if you've observed children, they don't have much of experience of heat. They can't tell themselves when they're cold. So it's one of the reasons why it's our responsibility to keep the babies very warm to help their physical body grow and thrive. So one nice example is, okay, what happens if, so that for me, that's just such a different picture of what happens in, the archetype of the physical realm, where woman is the receiver and then, is protected in this energetic realm, she is actually fueling and enlivening as well as protecting children during the day, the whole family at night. We can also go much deeper into like looking at moments where a woman, where a kid is like in a dangerous situation and a woman will like lift up the car, like where does that force come from? On the other side, we can also see that there is something that often happens, kind of a nighttime, daytime thing, where after the man has been out conquering the world and providing, there is coming home and being taken care of that seems to be essential to the well-being of the whole family status, but like the whole family unit, but also just the male. It's something to think about. Just start to notice if you can see other elements in your own experience. With your next inhale, actually start to lift out of the pose a little bit, activating your back bend. And then with your exhale, lower down to the ground, wiggle your hips side to side, maybe shake your legs side to side. And find some stillness. And we're going to move into a twist, but we're getting there slowly. So first we're going to start with sleeping lizard. So you're going to bend your right elbow and then bend your right knee, looking to your right. Take a couple breaths there. So I think this is part of the handicap of being over materialistic, is that we want to find solutions to our non-physical problems in physical ways. Now slide up onto both of your elbows and thread your left arm behind your right elbow and grab onto your right knee and that's it. Yep. And then lay back down and open up your right hand, allowing yourself to open up into the twist here. Take a full breath in, and with your exhale, just sigh it out. So part of yoga practice for me is exactly that, where we're actually not just working with our physical body, but we're actually working on liberating and emboldening, no, but like fortifying, making our subtle bodies more strong, so that we have this sense of, we have energy flowing in our body because we've moved our joint systems in a specific way. We have then energy flowing in our body that also helps us build our attitude, our kind of base emotional disposition. That in turn starts to support the part of us that is free from gender, our astral body, our thinking and, desire body. When we have a serious yoga practice, we can be more disciplined about not just giving in to every desire, to notice it. Some desires are, fruitful to give into. Some desires can be recognized like, oh, that's a desire. And maybe it's actually more fruitful if I don't just let it come in, like be followed. What distinguishes us from animals? And then finally, these concert of bodies, from the physical body to these subtle bodies of the etheric and the astral, then we're supporting the ego and the higher ego, especially the ego that kind of points towards our higher eternal self. So in anthroposophical cosmology, the ego isn't inherently bad or inherently good, but there's a distinction between a lower ego, which is much more this following of instincts and getting sucked into identifying just with our desires, and the higher ego, which is starting to notice the desires not that aren't originating in our unconscious physical body, but actually originating in our spiritual ideas, the part of our being that actually moves with us from lifetime to lifetime. You can think of it as the selfless self is one way that it's often described in anthroposophical literature. Take another full inhale. And with your exhale, roll back onto your belly and find your other sleeping lizard. So your left out lizard, no. You can bring your left elbow, left knee bent, looking to your left. Really feel the sensation of the ground holding you. You can feel this, right? Even just in this very simple lying on the floor. If the floor wasn't solid, it'd be really hard to relax. I mean, yeah, you're all thinking of waterbeds right now. Sometimes it is hard to relax in a waterbed. It's definitely hard to do other things on it. But feel how the solidness of the floor actually allows your body to be more soft because you're not going to fall over. You're supported. You've increased the literal base of your body by having the floor support it. But then we can feel our physical body relax and notice what that does for the other subtle bodies. In our practice, as we move from yin to yang, part of what we start to notice is not only the relaxation of the physical body actually is supportive of these energetic bodies, but then also the strengthening, because the strengthening, especially in a dynamic practice like yoga, does it in such a way that the intelligence of the human being is preserved. And you're not just muscling up to a point you can't move, but you're strengthening in a dynamic and fluid way that actually allows your physical body to have more an experience of freedom so that you are more free in your other bodies, and then more free to actually not just seek comfort or pleasure, but to move in a way that provides this transformative connection to the world where we're wanting to inspire other people or find, give comfort to others instead of just our physical self. To be of service. Now lift up onto your elbows and slide your right elbow behind your left elbow, keeping your right knee where it was. It's okay. And then softly roll open. Feel free to notice how your breath helps you here. Take a full inhale with your exhale, just sigh it out. Oh. When we learn new ideas that we're not familiar with, really want to feel like it's like it's a piece of clothing, like try it on, see how it fits, notice if you like it out in the street. Allowing yourself to be playful with ideas, letting curiosity help be one of your educators. Take another fine inhale, and with your exhale, sigh it out as you roll back onto your belly. It might not be in that order. And then you can move your way into child's pose as a transition here. We're all transitioning, see? But I think it's so nice to think of ourselves not as stuck and fixed, but as a movement, as a a wonderful bundle of processes. And then with your next inhale, roll up. And today we're just going to go into seesaw position. So you're just sitting Japanese style with your knees together on your heels. And then bring your hands into heart center, and let's take Anahata Mudra, this heart mudra, where the pinky to the base of your wrist, I guess you would say, to your thumb are squeezed together. Everything okay, Sita? Okay. And you bring your thumbs to your breastbone. So you feel that this is an effort. It's a little bit of an effort in your fingers to keep them open. It's a soft, gentle effort. And this is, I feel like, what we need to keep working on so much, especially in a world where we still have archaic things like bombs falling. So a little bit of effort to open our hearts and be active here. Close your eyes. Let's send a prayer to somewhere or someone, or just dedicate your practice. And let's sound 3 ohms. Empty your breath first. Take a deep inhale. Release your mudra, open your eyes, and shift back into child's pose again. Another transitioning pose, Balasana. And just start to walk your hands as far to your right as you can. Take a full breath. Exhale it, and then walk your hands all the way to the left. Take a full breath and exhale it. And then walk yourself to center and just wiggle your ribs side to side. You might want to lift your head because it makes it less uncomfortable. And then start to lift your head and keep your ribs kind of moving side to side, and see if you can wiggle yourself up into your tabletop. So it's an unnatural wiggly table. It's not the kind we usually want to have. Like all the legs are a little uneven. And then shake out your right arm. Shake out your left arm. Oh yeah, take off some clothes. Shake out your right leg. Shake out your left leg. Shake out your butt. Wiggle your soft spots. And then find your way to center. So sexy. Find your way to center. And inhale, lift up your head, your heart, and your hips, coming into cow. Maybe you can even feel your toes stretching out. And with your exhale, pull your belly up, push the ground away, pointing your toes, maybe lifting your belly, arching your back. Inhale, swoop into cow. Feel your shoulders reaching for your hips, your head reaching for the stars. Exhale, push the ground away, and this time you're going to float your cat. Softly bring your knees back down. Inhale one more time into cow. Exhale into downward facing dog. Keeping your knees deeply bent. And then start to kind of straighten one leg at a time. So you're wiggling your way into your practice. And with your inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. With your exhale, keep your shoulders square to the mat and bend your knee and let your hips open up. Staying active in your right foot. Maybe notice if you can get light in your left hand. It makes you square your shoulders. And then with your exhale, you're going to step your right foot all the way forward to your right hand. Maybe slide your left knee back a little bit. And you're going to do these wonderful hip circles. I don't have a name for this one. It's like cricket looking for your leg. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to work on that one. Beautiful. And then bring yourself back, downward facing dog. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So stretch your left leg long. Bend your knee, let your hips spin open. Wiggling to get there. And then see if you can find lightness in your right hand and notice how this squares your chest towards the ground. It might make it more challenging. You have to be more present in all of your body. See if your hip can open. Yes. And then with your exhale, step your left foot to your left thumb. And do these joyous, big, bringing your right knee down, big circles. And your left hip, I don't know what it is. It's like rocking gecko. I don't know. And then tuck your right toes under and lift back into downward facing dog. Take a full inhale. With your exhale, walk your feet up to your hands. Take your feet wide, a little bit wider than your hips, and then squat down, reaching your butt back and interlacing your fingers and reaching your hands forward. And now before we do anything, we're just going to go for a little walk. Again, this is begging for a nice name. Awkward duck. I don't know. And then keep your hips this low. Notice if your hips kind of wanted to lift up, sink them down so that your hips and your knees are the same height. Ooh, and walk yourself back up to the top of your yoga mat. And then come into a forward bow and hook your hands into the crooks of your elbows. Again, bend and straighten one knee at a time a little bit. Let your head hang and be heavy. Feel where the stiffness is in your body. Feel where the softness are. Notice what you're doing with your subtle bodies.
Are you helping your attitude? Are you hindering your attitude? You know, the difference between saying, oh yeah, this is interesting, or warming, or this sucks, will change how it feels for you. And then release your hands and squeeze your feet, squeeze your ankles, squeeze your shins, squeeze your knees, squeeze your thighs, maybe squeeze your hips with your hands, yes, and help yourself up. And then once you've reached the top and it's getting awkward to squeeze things, you can just stretch your arms up like, woohoo, I'm squeezed. Beautiful. Stretch up tall. And then with your exhale, samasti tihi. Take a full inhale here in mountain pose. Empty your breath. And then inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float. Exhale, plank to chaturanga or right to chaturanga. And everybody go to the ground. Inhale, low cobra, toenails pushing down. Exhale, release down to the ground. Now you're going to take your arms wide to the edge of your yoga mat and inhale, big fat low cobra. So your arms are out. And with your exhale, see if you can just drop your right shoulder down. Inhale, come back up, fat cobra. Exhale, drop your left shoulder down. Inhale, lift up one more time. And exhale, come back down, slide your hands back in, and then push back onto your knees and to downward facing dog. Now, notice what serves you. Is it stillness when you come to your downward facing dog, or do you want to move a little bit? These are the moments where you tailor your practice to suit you. We are so different. We're all so very special and absolutely ordinary. But the biggest thing is like your participation in everything changes everything. Take another full inhale. Empty your breath and then hop your feet softly in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Let's fly our arms up. Stretch your arms, reach them back, looking forward a little bit. And then with your exhale, hug the back of your knees, let your head drop towards your shin. And then inhale, release your arms and lift up. Exhale, samasti tihi. Inhale, stretch your arms up. This time you're going to catch your left wrist. Pull yourself up again with your next inhale. Oh, yeah, your left wrist. And then with your exhale, pull your body to your right. So really important, you want to keep your chin away from your chest and your heart open and exposed. Feel your heels pushing down into the ground. With your next inhale, lift up tall, straight, fully extended. And with your exhale, take it to the other side. So you want to imagine instead of collapsing into that bend, you're reaching for that bend. You want an L shape between your chin and your chest. I wanted to tell you the last night. And then inhale, stretch back up, hook your thumbs and lift up your heart and drop your head a little bit. So a baby back bend. It's not a big one. Inhale, back up to center as you separate your hands, and exhale, bow down. Keeping your hands on the ground, inhale, halfway lift. Yogi's choice, either jump to chaturanga or step to plank and lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. Bend your knee, let your hips spin open. Take another full breath here. And then with your exhale, step your right foot to your right thumb. Let your left knee come down to the ground. Inhale, supported crescent lunge.
So raise your arms up. Squeeze your thighs a little bit together. Feel if you can engage your root lock. Notice where you have to be active. Notice where you can be soft here. It's a combination of the two. Inhale, maybe change your gaze up to the ceiling. And then with your exhale, bring your hands down, tuck your left toes under, come to plank, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing doggy. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your left leg up to the sky. Exhale, bend your knee, let your hips spin open. We're taking a full breath here. And then step your left foot to your left thumb. Let your right knee come down to the ground. And then inhale, lift up, crescent lunge. So explore, you have a slight, you want squeezing your hips together. Maybe it feels more accurate for you. Notice if you can engage your root lock. So this is a very subtle movement. You're lifting your perineum. Maybe you're ready to take your gaze up to the ceiling. Take another full inhale. And with your exhale, find your way back. Plank to chaturanga. Upward facing dog or low cobra for your back bend. Everybody's knees off the yoga mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. Invite a small bend into your knees. This allows you to be more active about stretching your spine long. Feel like you're lifting the crease where your butt and your thighs meet up towards the ceiling. Feel your fingers stretching out. Your gaze is soft in between your feet, or you can do the Ashtanga style where you're reaching your gaze up to your belly button. Take a nice full inhale. Empty your breath all the way. And then quietly hop your feet in between your hands. Inhale, fly or halfway lift. Feel the freedom with your arms stretched out. Your legs can often go straighter. Exhale, hug your knees. Drop your head to your shins. And then root down and rise up. Stretch up tall. Catch your left wrist. Next inhale, get even longer. And with that length, lift up out of your waist and arch to your right. Take a full breath here. Then inhale to center. Get long again. It's an extra breath. And then keeping that length, arch to your left. So you want your chin a little bit more towards your chest, Sabine. Yes, so your eyes can sparkle out into the world. Yay. And then inhale, come up to center. Maybe hook your thumbs, lift up, drop your head back. Inhale, reach up high one more time, and with your exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up, and with your exhale, step your right foot to your right thumb. This time, tuck your left toes under and rise up, crescent lunge. So it's just like we did before. Your knee is just lifted and extended. So instead of having the floor support your knee, it's the strength of your body supporting your knee. Feel your hips squeezing together. Take a nice full inhale, and with your exhale, twist to your right. Reach through your fingertips. Notice that you still want to reach forward with your right knee and push back with your left heel. Now staying in this twist, with your next inhale, you're going to lift up your left arm and reach back and hold onto your left thigh with your right hand. Take another full liberating inhale. And with your exhale, open up, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. And exhale, sweet chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your left leg long, and with your exhale, step your left foot to your left thumb, rise up, crescent lunge. And with your exhale, yep, so you're staying here for a couple breaths first. That's what we did. Push back with your right heel, let your right thigh squeeze to the bone. Lunge a little deeper into your left knee, push with your right heel, maybe take your gaze up. And then with your next exhale, open arm twist to your left. So just like your heel is pushing, your right heel is pushing back, your left knee is reaching forward, your left hand is reaching back, and your right hand is reaching forward. So above, so below. Then inhale, lift up your right arm, take your left hand to your right thigh. Take another fueling inhale and open up to warrior two with your exhale. Feel the tuck of your tail. Inhale, reverse your warrior. And exhale, vinyasa. So some days you add an extra chaturanga, some days you go straight to downward facing dog. But vinyasa is, again, a place where you bring authorship to your practice, make it your own. And then bend your knees a little softly and walk your hands back to your feet. You're going to lift up your toes and slide your whole hand underneath your feet so your toes are touching the creases of your wrists. Most likely your knees are bent unless you have very open hamstrings. Inhale, halfway lift. So you're lifting up your head, you're feeling the reach, and then with your exhale, soften into the forward bend. If you're feeling adventurous, you're welcome to start to work your way towards being able to float your heels here. And then lift up off of your hands, and you're going to squat down, take your feet a little bit wider into Malasana, garland pose. Very nice. Very nice, very nice. All right, take an inhale, lift up your butt, line up your butt with your knees, stretch your palms straight forward, just like we did in the beginning of our vinyasa, and walk to the top of your yoga mat. It feels awkward. It's okay. Keep your butt low, keep your butt grounded, and then come back Malasana. Malasana. Nearly sounds like a lassi. Oh, that would be good right now. Let your heart lift up. And then bring your butt to the ground, however you want to. Do a little dance, keep your knees bent, lower your spine to the ground. Have your heels close enough to your buttocks so the your middle fingers can touch the back of your heels. And then inhale and lift up into bridge. So be active with your legs. You want to feel like you're pushing down on your heels. You also want to feel like you're holding a block in between your thighs, and this will help you keep your knees over your heels. Very nice. Keep your hips lifting up. Feel your chest expanding towards your face. Notice as you work hard here, can you actually invite softness into your attitude? To do things gently doesn't mean it's easier. Sometimes quite the opposite. Take 3 more inhales. And exhales. And then roll your hips back down. You can let your feet slide out and your knees drop together here. And then slide your heels in. We're going to do one more bridge. And inhale, lift up your hips, push your feet down. Feel that you're wiggling your shoulders underneath you to help you pop your chest up. Hold hands underneath your body. Feel that when you push your hands down, you can lift your hips up more. Notice if your forehead is relaxed. Now, lovely yogis, I'm going to do something weird. We're just going to do 2 back bends today. So if you're going to feel like you didn't have a good practice, if you don't go into wheel, now is the time. If you want to go into wheel, you bring your hands next to your ears, push up first to the crown of your head, then come up all the way. Allow yourself to be challenged and at your edge. Even if you're staying in bridge, that is plenty of work. I know it is. See if you can get your inner thighs squeezing together as if you had an invisible block. That's very solid that you can squeeze. Yes, nice, Brigitte. So that made such a difference. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then gently roll down. Let your feet slide out and your knees knock together. I totally just misread the time. Maybe you need to do a little wrist rolls if it's been a long time since you've done vinyasa. You can just keep your elbows close to your ribs and wrap your thumbs with your fingers and pretend you have little pom-poms. You can have big pom-poms here if you want. They're imaginary. Okay. And then bring your right knee over your left knee. Slide your butt cheeks to the right and drop your knees to the left. Just doing a cleansing twist. Lift your knees up higher, Brigitte, so your knees are lined up with your hips. Yeah, now you should feel the twist more in your spine. You might have noticed your name was Brigitte, even if you're a boy. And then come back to center. Unwind and rewind. Bring your left knee over your right knee. Slide your butt to your left. Let your knees drop to the right. Once you've come down to the ground, make sure your knees are as high as your hips. Take a full inhale. And with your exhale, just sigh it out. And then come back to center and stretch yourself out for your holy Shavasana. This is what you've been working for, oddly enough, to do nothing very well. So in Shavasana, you want to have your palms open to receive. Unless it hurts your arms, then you can have your palms on your belly. Have your eyes closed. And one more time, just feel how the solidness of the floor. Is that enough? Is that good? Helps you be soft and relaxed. With your next inhale, invite your breath to the edges of your body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, your face and your nose. Stretch your body long on your inhale. With your exhale, roll into a ball. If it's comfortable for you, go onto your side. If not, don't. And then help yourself up into a comfortable seated position. And let's once again close with the same mudra that we started our vinyasa with. So the Anahata mudra, you can think of it as like you're making like a tulip or a chalice. You're doing it right. So you don't actually want water to be able to fall out of the bottom. Thumbs come to your breastbone, lift up tall, lift up who or where you dedicated your practice to. Empty your breath. Take a deep inhale. Ah. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward together, we say, Namaste. Amen. And so much love. Make some noise.